Morning, co-host.
Good morning. Good morning, James. Happy New Year to you
Happy
and
New
the
Year to
Colonel.
everybody. Here we are in 2023. You know how
23.
it always takes a few days to get acclimated to the new year or saying the new year. So if I say 22 during this broadcast, you understand. But 2023, we are here. And we're here. We're going to do a show this morning like we do every year, or well, every year, but this is our second year. We're going into our second year as Portsmouth Coffee Talk, and we like to recap the 2022 year that we
Good
had
morning.
with our
Good morning. Good
videos. And okay, and so we're here and just the host, and we're going to talk about some of the videos we did. And I was talking earlier, I got a chance. I usually have more time than our co-host, and I had a time. I was going to review a few of our past videos during the 2022 year, and I was going to watch a little bit of them just to bring me up to date with them. And I caught myself on some of the videos watching the whole video because I realized we had some amazing guests. We had
We
some
have.
amazing guests and covered some great subjects and informative subjects. And when you have that many videos, you kind of forget sometimes. You don't forget the guests we have, but you forget the subject matter and how deep we got and how humorous some of them were and how political we got with some of our videos. I want to start off by asking the host, talk about how you feel your role has been as we approach, you know, well, as I guess we're going into our third year. Yeah, as we going into our third year, and later on we'll talk about what we're gonna our goals and for the future of Portsmouth Coffee Talk and where we want to go and what we're going to be trying to do. But talk about your roles, how you feel your role has been with Portsmouth Coffee Talk these 2 years, because we all have different roles that we play, and I think it gels pretty well. You know,
Well,
uh,
James, it's amazing how fast time flies. I can't believe that we're going into our third year soon. And I can think back to when you and the Colonel invited me to become a part of the team. I was a little hesitant at first at the idea of every Monday morning being up and ready to come on this show at 6 o'clock in the morning, which means I have to get up a little earlier to get it started. But it has been an amazing journey. Working with you and the Colonel, we learn each other's pet words and pet thoughts, just like Colonel was gone last week and we had to use some of his what say you, what say you, what say you. So we had to
and you said a mouthful. You said
then you
so.
said a mouthful. You said a
we kept
mouthful.
we kept the colonel's presence here,
We
even though
had
he
to keep
wasn't
his
here.
presence here. We had to keep his presence here. And we've had some absolutely wonderful guests. I never thought that it would be as amazing a ride as it has been. I was telling James Colonel last week. I was in the picking up a sandwich, and the young man said, "I know who you are. I know who you are. You're the Portsmouth Coffee Talk lady." And I looked at him. I said, I know you from somewhere." And I kept looking at him, and it was one of our guests' brother, Isaiah's brother, as a matter of fact, Isaiah Mariner's guest, a brother. So it has just been an amazing job. And also, it's been interesting. Some of the people who've come to me and said that they watch us on Portsmouth Coffee Talk because I've never seen their face nor their names as we do it on Facebook Live. But there are people who are watching who we don't know that they're watching. So it's been a great ride. And I think, and as people say, we give a service to the city by providing information. And for that, I am truly, truly thankful that we're able to give that information to the citizens to keep them abreast of what's going on in the city of Portsmouth. And working with you and the Colonel has been an plum pleasing pleasure.
There you
working
go
with the
with
two
the
of
with the
you.
P's.
A plum
Plum
pleasing
pleasing
pleasure.
pleasure.
Yes,
You,
yes,
you
yes.
just you just
And I
spit on a lot of people.
yeah, how about that? And and like you said, we each play our role, Colonel is our what's the word for it, Colonel?
Um, I don't know. We all I guess we we have to give our dues to Slim by starting this show.
Exactly.
And I look at it as our way of continuous service to the people, because what we expose and what we talk about is not talked about anywhere on any media sources in this country, or in the city, state, or and we also touch in some of the national newses and those issues, because all of them start from the local. And all of our national news also affects us, and a lot of times we don't see the how it affects us, but we expose that and sort of break it down to see how it affects the what I say, the guy on the street corner,
Mhm.
or the guy that's or the guy or gal that's flipping burgers out there, or anybody in our pop, in our area. And so now that it's not just where the radio can be broadcast, but be with YouTube, it goes across the world.
Mhm.
And folks that can't see this news that we're bringing to them, and seeing the issues and some of the solutions we talk about, and exposing some of the problems that we see, they'll never see it, and then life will go on. And we've exposed a lot in now that and I like the political side myself, and I see that I look at some of the corruption in things that have happened out there, and we expose that and hold people accountable.
Mhm.
And so that's what I've enjoyed the most of it, and especially when I can talk to the two of y'all, and then we go back and forth, because and even though sometimes we may not all agree, but we agree to disagree.
Mhm. Mhm.
And speaking of that, the views stated on this program are the host and just us, and these are our opinions, so we stay out of Facebook jail. And so for the listeners out there, we've been in Facebook jail before, or been threatened by Facebook jail. So we have to put that out there. That's why we say that, because in a word, we're being censored sometimes. So we have to be real careful what we say in articulating our voice.
Mhm.
So yes.
It's amazing. eh, when I started, and the two co-hosts that we have here now, when I started and I was doing solo, both of them were my guests.
Mhm.
Had Leah as a guest talking about history, and the Colonel came on as my guest talking about opportunities in the military. And
Mhm.
as time went on, I think again, Leah came back on as a guest at the different studio. Well, the same studio. By the time you came on, we were in the new studio.
Uh-huh.
And and then as time went on, it just made sense to have you know two other different people with different opinions, and like the Colonel said, sometimes we don't agree, and I was hoping we wouldn't come up here and agree every time, or have the
Exactly.
same views. That would be boring.
Mhm.
If all of
Mhm.
us, might as well all of us look the same and be saying the
Mhm.
same things. But it's good to have a mix of people with different opinions, and Colonel with the the political guru of our group.
Yes,
And
indeed.
I think it's appropriate, because sometimes we wonder, how does politics come into that? And then once he starts into it, we
Then you see.
realize that it is political. We could be talking about a worm going across the sidewalk, and politics might come up, but it might be a little political spin in that. Is that worm going to the right or the left? So we can turn that into a political thing. But I jest with that. But it's important to have that political mix in there, and makes us realize that politics is everywhere, on your
Everywhere.
job, anywhere you go. And if you want to define politics, it can be defined,
Mhm,
where anywhere. It's just not about politicians and
mhm,
things like that. It finds its way into all walks of our life. So
mhm.
I think that's an important part. And I love the way Leah, well, like I always joke, Leah knows everybody. I mean, not to the point I just know you because in passing, I raised you. You know,
One of my
a lot,
babies. One of
yeah,
my
that's her
babies coming
babies.
on
And
here.
and even if they're babies that she met when they were adults, they're still her babies. So uh bringing that kind of element, that warmness that Leah brings to it, but also she gets to the point of things and asks the right questions. So even beyond that warmness, if you come on here and it's some issues that need to be questioned, she will question you, and then call you her baby afterwards. So
How about that? Still gonna love you. Gonna love you anyway.
yes, I love you anyway, but what you did, you know, wasn't right. But
Wasn't
I
right.
think the main point I like about what we do, and like I said, we'll talk about going forward. What we do is share the information, and we just don't sit up here and share the information talking as amateurs. We bring on the people that know what they're talking about,
Mhm,
experts in the field, and using our local colleges and universities to bring people from there, which we talked about. Hope the cities will use them more. These colleges are sitting there rather than
mhm,
going outside of the state and bringing in these people. Some instances you might need to bring in those out of state professionals because of the complexity of an issue. But basically, you can go to the colleges and universities and find any kind of, or have them to conduct any kind of study that's necessary for a city to operate. And hopefully going forward, they will take more advantage of that, especially as they see them coming on our show and
exactly.
giving information that they probably can take and use. So
Mhm, mhm. And as you talk about those colleges and universities, I see that our co-host, our guest co-host, Ernestine Duncan, is on and watching on this morning, and she brings a wealth of information and knowledge to the table when she comes on board, helping those who may be having some mental health issues, or some of those who just may have some questions about how to handle life situations. And she always brings a wealth of knowledge to the table whenever she comes on board. And so I'm glad to see you, Ernestine. Good morning to you as well this morning.
and you
Eh,
know what's so amazing about when Dr. Duncan Ernestine comes on and talking about mental health, and sometimes it's really heavy, suicide, things like that. The calmness of her voice,
Yes, yes.
and that sort of makes the heavy subjects that we discuss. It makes it a little easier to digest.
Exactly.
And I think that's a plus, being able to to articulate that way,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
where people will really take it in, that calmness. I have my pet peeves about, I've seen people on shows that talk real fast, and they're supposed to be experts in that. And I'm leery about those people that talk real fast, because you don't really know if they're talking, making sense or not.
Exactly.
Mhm.
But that's just, I digress with that. But I have
Uh-huh.
one person in mind when I say that. But
Yeah.
Dr. Umar Johnson, that's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Uh, but her calmness and the way she delivers
Mm-hmm.
the information, I think, and I've heard people say that, I think it resonates real well, and maybe really helps some people that might might need it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll segue in this and say, to tell the listeners out there, is uh this program that we put on collectively a couple times a week, and we've done this in this going on the third year, uh is not is publicly funded by the listeners themselves. And we exist just on the donations that you send in to us. And so if you'd like to be part of this, what I call a movement, You can send a donation to Portsmouth Coffee Talk, P.O. Box 7664, Portsmouth, Virginia 23707. That's Portsmouth, Virginia. Portsmouth Coffee Talk, P.O. Box 7664, Portsmouth, Virginia 23707. And 100% of your donations goes into the running and the continuance of this program. And we don't get public funding from the state, city, or anywhere else. It's why we've stayed out here and we've been what we call independent media. And that's something that we have to say. And Slim will tell you about other avenues to have this revenue stream.
Yeah, our Cash App is PCT 1220, PCC 1220, and a $ in front of that. That's our Cash App. And you can do Zelle if you like, coffeetalk@yahoo.com. And we're going to have a concerted effort to in our fundraising efforts this year going forward, and hopefully make some go after sponsors, and people watching it. If you like to sponsor us, and it doesn't take much to sponsor a show like we have, as opposed to doing a big time radio station or something like that. You can sponsor us for, well, we can negotiate that. We can sponsor for a little bit of funds or money, where we would make sure we would mention your business or your organization, every time we come on, or however you want us to do it. But we're going to need that in order to, because we're going to be going to the Martin Luther King, the breakfast, and sponsored by the Church and Community in Action. And I talked to the president and asked, okay, we come there and film live. So a lot of people that can't be there, we're going to be there. I'm going to be there with our little cameras, the way we do it. We don't come in there with the big productions like Wavy 10 or some of the other people. We have, we use our little tablets and things like that, but it goes out when we go live. We go to a lot of people that probably wouldn't be able to be there and witness what they're doing and the people that they usually honor. So they gave us permission to come there and film it. And but if you can make it, I guess we don't have the information on tickets. So I know they're $50, but
the tickets are $50, $300 for a table, and that's a table of 6. And it's on the 16th at 8 a.m. at St. Mark Missionary Baptist Church.
Yes. So do you know who they would contact if they wanted to, a business wanted to buy a table or something?
Angela Hollingsworth is my contact person.
Okay.
And she can be reached at the Parks and Rec, the Mount Herman Center.
Okay.
At Parks and Rec. So
I found out later, and I put it up on our page. Put more information up on our page.
She may have a particular number. I have a number, but she may have a particular number that she would like for individuals to contact her through.
But if you can actually be there. But if you can't, because it can only hold but so many, you can join us live that day.
And especially,
I will not be filming anybody eating, because that could be gross.
No.
but
one, and especially since we know that one of the honorees is none other than Dr. Joseph Knight, and he's one person we've been trying to get on the show forever, and he's touched the heart and the minds of generations of people in the city of Portsmouth. So it's so great.
Leah and I both have been honored by that particular.
Yes, we have been.
It's something that's I really appreciate, and they really look at people that, I don't know if I was deserving, but they really look at people that really are deserving being honored there. And it was an honor for me to be honored by them.
It was an honor for me as well as I was shocked when they called me. So it was indeed an honor.
Yes,
but James, I'm thinking back to when you first started, when you invited me to come onto your show, and having to get up early in the morning and ride
to the studio.
COVID has been a blessing in that light. COVID has been a blessing in as much as we've learned that we can do things differently, you know, And being on Facebook Live and Zoom has been a blessing because we get we started off having to ask people to come on to the show. And now we have people calling us asking, can they come on to the show?
Yes.
And that has been a blessing as well.
And certain people we wouldn't have on, like our last guest was from California. We had people from Atlanta.
Exactly.
We had people from other people from California, and some of the guests we wouldn't have if we had to have them to come in the studio. So this is
Exactly.
a way we can reach out throughout the country and bring in people. Yeah.
Good, reputable folks, you know?
Yes. Where they could.
But I'll circle this back around. We're talking about some of our past guests,
Mhm.
and since you mentioned Ernestine Duncan, Dr. Duncan, when I think about, you mentioned her calmness and her work and its historic work in the field of behavioral health or mental health. I look at her as a prime example of women empowerment and how they has affected uh, society as a whole. She does great work over there at Norfolk State and has been down to Georgia State and throughout her career. But what she is doing here in our local populace is just historic. And so I have to give Ernestine some big props because I think she's probably our most frequent guest here.
Yes.
And so I have to give her big props because she doesn't have to do that. And but she does it out of her goodness of her heart, and she's good people. So I
Yeah.
just have to circle us around, and I just had to say that women's empowerment. And I'm always I like to call out strong women and what they do. Just like when I look every day, a couple times a week at Leah, I'm looking at strong women. And I'm also married to one of them strong
Yes,
women.
you
Yeah.
are. Yes, you are. And so is James.
And I am too. I am too. She had to be strong to be with me. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But Colonel, since you mentioned, Norfolk State and strong women, one of the shows one of the videos I tuned in and couldn't turn off was the show we had with Dr. Coletta Fairfax from
Yes.
Norfolk State University's history department, and she came on talking about the 1619 project,
Yes.
and gave us some wealth of information about how locally, that whole thing started here, and we continued on with conversations, Colonel, if you will, with politics and other issues, and that was and to get her, because she had just been on Roy and Martin's with Dr. Carr, Dr. Carr, which is a nationally known played show. And she had just been on there with other college professors. And then she came right on, when I called and asked her, she came right on our show. I said, because some people you say, well, they don't want to come here. This is a little
Yes.
local, show. And she's nationally known and everything. She came on there and fit right in, she found out that she ran around on the campus of Virginia Union because her father taught there. So that was one of I can't pick a favorite show, but I can pick some top shows that stick out in my mind because of the content of the conversation we had.
And Jameson is amazing too, how bringing on one guest leads to other guests.
Yes.
Because we started with Malera Green, who was also in the mental health field. And as a result of Malera coming on, we ended up having John Carlos, the famous Olympian, on our show.
Yes.
And which also led to Isaiah Mariner being on the show. Like one guest leads to another, to another, to another. But John Carlos was just a breath of fresh air when he came on, and then for us to
then came to Portsmouth.
came to Portsmouth, and we had the ability to remotely go and shoot his event, the event that they had in his honor on the grounds of IC Norcom High School. And I'm sure that we will probably start doing a lot more remote because, as you said, we're going to do the Church and Community in Actions event coming up on the 16th, and I know we're going to the soft opening of the
casino
coming up. And so there are going to be many, many more opportunities for us to go out and share with the public some of the things that are going on in the city of Portsmouth for those individuals who would not have the opportunity to go. And Kenny Wright just says, Happy New Year, much success in 2023. Thank you
Yeah.
so very
Happy
much,
New Year, man.
Kenny. And Kenny has been on, Kenny Wright has been
Yeah,
on, and
yeah.
he
And
has a wealth of knowledge about the history of the city of Portsmouth,
and
which
the
he
history
has
of
shared.
Truxton. He knows more about
He
Truxton than
knows
people that grew
Truxton.
up in Truxton.
He knows Truxton. I
Except for
tell you,
Chester Benton, of course.
yes,
But
yes.
and we like to have him on too. And he'll be back on too, because especially when we talk about generational wealth and what you need to do to build up that family wealth, you know, for generations to come. It's something we've been lacking as a community in doing, you know, and it's not for the sake of we didn't want to do it. It's just for the lack of knowledge of how to do it and how to go
Exactly.
about it. So he always comes when I ask him, and several times I've asked him, you know, at the last minute when guests had to back out, and he knew that's why I was calling him, but he was always stepped up to the plate and came in and gave us some valuable information. So he's one of our people that we continue to bring on as well. So we appreciate you, Kenny, for being a friend to Portsmouth Coffee Talk.
You know, and as well as our funny man, Cletus Cassidy, who can take a situation in the city of Portsmouth and he can make it hilarious, yet give you the information that you need to hear. You know, Kenny said, yes, I'm your last minute man.
Yes, he's, you know, and you know,
But-
we didn't hold it back, didn't try to sugarcoat and say, hey, I thought about you.
yeah, how about
The
that?
first time I tried, I said, look, man, somebody backed out. Can you
Can you do it? But Cletus brings a lot of joy. And people wait to hear from Cletus, to hear his take on situations that are taking place in the city of Portsmouth. And he gives a good take on it, makes it easier to digest because of the humor that he brings along with it. Turner, you were about to say something.
Yeah, you mentioned the 1619 project, and then when we break that down, and we had big elections in November, and a lot of discussions that we had on most of the people that were running for city council and also for the school board, and then we discussed subjects that's not discussed in the debates that the little town halls that they had out there, like the CRT training and what that was. We broke it down, how our histories are being erased right before our eyes.
Exactly.
So you brought up, you know, like John Carlos. He's one of the folks that they are trying to erase because that was he stood up for racism way back when. And so that his story is being erased as we speak. And then
way back before taking a knee, you know, it was the thing.
And you see what's happening. And then you mentioned Kenny is coming out and talking about the history and how we've forgotten a lot of history. And so if we don't know our history, and I'll paraphrase Kenny, if you don't know about your history, you will repeat those same problems in the future. But saying, you know, since we talk about the elections in this past, you know, we've had the mayor, Mayor Glover, Shannon Glover, has come on, talked about where he has taken, what he's done for the city and where he's taken the city. And it is segued into some of the other folks that have run that were on, say, I will say, I'll focus on city council that are no longer on city council because they were exposed, just not out here, but we exposed them. And so what's his name? Mr. Glover. He's no longer, I can't call him his new title, but he's a Mr. now. And,
oh, no, not Glover. Not Glover.
I'm sorry. Not
You talking about Battle and Woodard?
Yeah, Battle, Mr. Battle. Mr. Battle, who we saw his true colors after he lost, and how he just went down and went to the lowest level, and it showed you that he was unfit and remains unfit to hold office in this city. And then so we still have a ways to go. I also like to say, look forward to the recall to see what they're going to do with the vice mayor. I even don't even say his name. But we'll see what's happening in there, because he refuses to come on. He's also hiding from us. And so he hid all of 2022, and maybe he'll come on and explain some of the shenanigans that him and the two horsemen now have been doing with sitting on city council. And then hopefully we'll see what's happening and let the chips fall where they fall.
Now he did come on.
I was about to say
right
that.
after he was elected and,
Yes.
and became vice mayor, because one of the questions we asked him why he wanted, why would he want to be vice mayor right away?
Yes.
And I'll have to go back and look at that and see what his answer was. But he came on then and answered every question we threw at him. But after that, we, well, I don't know if we invited him again, but
We did. We invited. We
invited him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we did invite him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. His
So,
phone didn't work.
after that one time, we didn't see him again on Coffee Talk. But during the election cycle, we invited the last election cycle. We had 11 candidates, and we invited everybody, and we had 3 of them that didn't come. And that's not why they lost, but that was an opportunity for them to come on.
They
and
didn't
answer.
Did you say that again, Slim?
We had 3 that didn't come on, and I said that's not why they lost, but that was an opportunity.
We say there's no statistical correlation between that, but they did not come on, so they did not win. So there is a statistical correlation when they hid from the public, you suffer the consequences.
Well, I said it that way because we did have some that came on that also didn't win, but
that's a math problem.
But at least they got. I think they had a good appearance on our show, and couldn't but 3 win. And I think they had good appearance, and I think people that were watching, that watch us, got a chance to know them a little bit better.
Yes.
As opposed to the sound bites they might get at a forum when you got 11 candidates. And I think if they run again, some people will really know a little bit more about them. I think their appearance didn't go. It wasn't a lost cause for them, even though they did not win. Like I said, it couldn't but 3 win. But those ones that came on, most of them got pretty high votes. But so I wanted to go ahead, Chapman, if you finish, because I wanted to switch. I wanted to talk about some subjects.
No. It's those who didn't win, there was a math problem. But I say there's a correlation. If you did not come because you hid out and you made up all these excuses of not coming, like your phone fell in the river, when you was coming through the tunnel, all that, and so it actually, in my mind, it sensed that, yes, you didn't want to win, and you were afraid of your record. And so I go on there, and so I call it like it is.
Yes. And as you mentioned that, as we talk about roles, I guess I've been accused of being the nice guy. So
yeah, you're the nice guy.
So we got to have that balance too, of the nice guy, But don't take me for granted. Now I can get tough with questions too, but I try to keep that balance going. And
you do, James,
you
do.
And I think that's why we all need have different roles.
Have different roles
play.
that we bring to the table.
And it's usually more true to our true character, the way we really are. So we can't be anything but what we are. So
exactly. No more, no less.
No more, no less.
So, but on the good side though, we go ahead. We're transitioning off the radio station.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. I want to thank everybody for listening on WGPL 1350 AM, to our show as the host, recap our past year, and we'll see you next Monday as we'll have a guest, and we'll let you know who that will be coming up.
Well, today is Monday. Who do we have on Thursday?
Thursday, we have Dr. Megan Franco, and I'll tell you more about her. She's actually a family member of the Colonel and I, and she's just received her not too long ago a PhD, and I want to bring her on and talk about her journey, her path to getting to that point. It's quite interesting, and talk about what she's doing in her career. She's been on before. She when she came on before, she was working on a PhD. So she came in and came into the studio and did a show. So stay tuned for that, and we'll let you know more about her. But she'll be on this Thursday, Dr. Megan Franco, and cuz. And you notice we tend to bring family members on, but
Yeah,
family members we bring on, family members we bring on really have something to offer, to share with us. It's not just because it's not nepotism, it's they have something to offer, and that's why we
Yes,
bring them on.
yes, James, because as you talk about family members, I think about the fact that my granddaughter came on and talked about her mental health project at North Carolina A&T, and she did an amazing job. I was just so proud of her, and we've also had my son-in-law, Derek
Yeah,
Powell,
son-in-law.
to come on to talk about the basketball industry and what he does as a basketball agent. So we don't just bring family members on to chit chat. We
Yeah.
bring them on to bring information to the public as to their involvement in the communities and ways in which they are serving the communities as well. So
A lot of the guests and a lot of the subjects that come on is helpful for us too. We've learned so much from some of the subjects. And one of the subjects that came on that I learned a lot from was autism. We had
yes,
autism, and I'm thinking of autism one way, a little kid running around yelling, and that was on my part, because that's all I've seen. But
mhm,
the ladies that came on and talked about autism, the different spectrums, what they call it, Leah, the
on the
spectrums,
being on the spectrum.
being on the spectrum,
Uh-huh.
and you have people with autism that are perfectly functioning out
High
there,
functioning,
high
Asperger's,
functioning, and then you
Asperger's.
have,
Uh-huh.
so, and then I had a chance to do a remote out at Churchland one day with this lady, her last name is Wilson, who has a daughter that's autistic and in her 30s, and a lot of people, you don't hear about that. You hear about the young kids with autism up to a certain point, but what happens to them when they grow into
Mhm,
adulthood?
mhm.
Then you have a parent that struggles with taking care of, and this particular lady's daughter was 30 years old, nonverbal, and sometimes tendency to be violent. So,
Yeah,
but
combative. Yeah.
yeah, and this,
Mhm,
but she was talking about it's nowhere for them when they at that age, adult people with autism that severe, that
mhm.
they can go. It's up to the parents, and you get to a certain point, and you have somebody at 30 years old, and you still have to care for them yourself. I mean,
As
how
though they
much of
were a
that,
baby.
yeah, how
Mhm,
much of that life it takes away from you, even though you're going to do that. That's your child.
mhm.
So hopefully that show helped her find some help, and I think we were referred by uh, Dory Finley's mother to
Yes.
them. And
Uh-huh.
sometimes we have guests on here that
Desiree.
refer us to other
Mhm.
guests, so we can feature them, and it was something we were able to do to bring attention to adults who have autism.
Mhm. And James, and it's important to note at this time for those individuals who may have missed those particular shows on Facebook, you can go to YouTube and subscribe to Portsmouth Coffee Talk. And you can go on and you can view all of the wonderful guests who we've had on our show over the past 3 years. And all of that is still available to you. So we just ask that you go to YouTube, go to Portsmouth Coffee Talk, subscribe, to our page and invite others to come on and subscribe to our page. And you can go back and look at any of the shows that we have shown over the past couple of years.
Mhm. Well, you know, you mentioned about getting help, and it goes back, and I'll circle back to some of the discussions we had with Senator Lucas. And she talked about some of the bills that when we had the House, Senate, and the governorship, and some of the great bills that they passed. And now that they've lost the House, the Democratic Party has lost the House. You look at what's coming out from the House in the state of Virginia is the help. If you're looking for help, it is not coming. And all you see is more abortion bans and more negative stuff and more stuff on to turn the education of our young people, circling back to the issues of CRT and not making people feel bad because of our past. And so we have to look at, be cognizant of that our vote does count. Every vote does count. And so this is one of the great things that we've highlighted in our time. And I'll also go back to say that one of the people that I really enjoyed is talking to some of the attorneys that have come on the show. And I think it was Anna Glover was on the show. She talked to that, and we had the
Alana Glover.
Alana Glover. And I believe she's back this way now.
No, she's with a company that has the company she's with now. They have an office in where she is in Maryland, and in Virginia Beach, I believe. So
okay,
the opportunity for her to come back this way is a little greater.
Yes, I hope she comes back this way. And then we've had the Commonwealth Attorney on a couple times, and we look forward. And she had a wealth of information on what she's doing with a lot of education, and going down into the prison systems and going to the schools. She had a wealth of information about what she's doing for our society, just not by just locking people up like you see a lot of Commonwealth attorneys. But I also look forward to the next year that hopefully there's be some investigation on some of the alleged corruption that was put out by the old city attorney, that I hope that her office will investigate. So, I circled that back around.
Yeah. And speaking of the Commonwealth Attorney, hopefully we'll have her on this year, because she's running this year for her office. Like Leah said one time, we have elections every year. Somebody's running for something every year. So I believe this is the year for her to run for re-election. So, and I'm sure there will be some people, vying for that job. So, we look forward to, covering that and following her in that endeavor.
Yes. And all these elections are important because they affect you every day.
Every minute of the day.
And I believe she was one of the first that stepped out there and says they weren't going to prosecute some of these minor marijuana offenses that they were bogging down in the court. And now
that was early on. We had her on the show early on, before all the it got into the legislative process. And she was talking about that early on before, it came to light. But
so we say that's a better term to say she was ahead of the curve.
Ahead of the curve.
Yes.
Ahead of the curve.
And so you have some that's going to be running against her and was trying to hold that against her, but she says, hey, she has history on her side. And so we look forward for her to come out here and talk about what she has done and what she's going to do for the future.
Yes.
And hopefully she'll address my thing on is these investigations that alleged crimes that are that seem to be growing every day, with especially emanating out of the two horsemen that are left. But saying that, the new city council is seated now, I believe.
On tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow.
They do the reorganization. They're doing the reorganization tomorrow morning. I think it's at 9 o'clock.
Mhm.
in the morning. So we will wait to see what takes place with the reorganization. Of course, they will be selecting a vice mayor at that time,
Mhm.
and the new council will sit at the table, and it's going to be interesting to see what's going to take place over the next couple of months once they get acclimated to the positions in which they're coming into. So we should hear more of that on Tuesday, and we should be able to talk more about that on Thursday on our Thursday show as to
Yeah.
what occurred at the reorganization meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, and like we said, we have to hold them just as accountable as we
Just as
held the
accountable.
last council.
Mm-hmm.
I think, the last council, we got hit by some surprises, so we have to be very, very aware of what they're doing and make sure we keep up. And
Right,
hopefully we can
exactly.
get the three, once they get going, get the three new council persons and the one re-elected to come on the show at the same time and
Mm-hmm.
talk about, going forward, what they want to do going forward. I think that would be a worthy show to have if they agree to come on early on in the
Mm-hmm.
process and not wait until down the road where we trying to figure out what they're doing, but have them on early, the three of them, and whatever they say,
Mm-hmm.
we can really hold them accountable
Mhm.
And
for
so that we can be proactive as opposed to being reactive,
proactive as waiting for
you
them to
know.
do something and then bring them on
Exactly.
and have an argument with them,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
like we
And,
did with some of the
and
others.
plus, when they come on and say things, like we had some of the former council people on who said things, but we needed to be able to go back and hear those things that they said they were going to do and hold them accountable for those things because they spoke a good game when they came on the show. And then they showed
Yes.
us a different person once they got onto the council. The whole persona of them changed completely. If you go back and look at the show and you go back and look at what they did once they sat on that dais, you got a totally different person once they
Yes.
got there, you know?
Yeah,
Yes. It's almost like the representative elect from in New York, Santos.
Oh my goodness,
What
now
he's saying there
that's a
public.
mess.
Yes, and now that it's come out, it's almost like it faded down here in the local election. What you say on the stump is not what you say when it's time, when the lights come on. And then so I
And
bring that up.
and currently it just proves how you need to do that oppositional um um research.
Yes.
Because I cannot believe that there was no oppositional research done on that election. You know, it's hard to believe that he got away with so much, and people are finding about it
after he's elected.
after he's elected. That's hard to believe.
Well, what's really hard to believe is that the Confederate Party is going to keep him in seated rather than asking
But they
for his
need him. They
time.
need him. They need him now.
They need him now.
They
And then
need him.
the lowest common denominator is the highest they can go. And so it's all about power for them. And so
Yeah.
I would tell you, I'm going to make a prediction. There are no good bills are going to come out of the House.
Well, they already planned that. None at all.
None at all. So we don't have representative government
Mm-mm.
because the minority won't have a voice. And so nothing's going to happen. And actually, the plan is already made because McCarthy has already made a deal with Mr. Trump down there, is to destroy and make everything bad for his reelection. So they've already said that. And so McCarthy is, so if you don't get help in the future, especially on the federal side, because the House of Representatives spends the money, because you didn't go out, then you left people like Elaine Loria out.
Yes.
You elected this Duggins or whatever his name is,
Keegan.
who is Deegans, who is
Keegan.
clueless.
Isn't it Keegan?
Yeah, Keegan's. Who is clueless. You put her in office just because.
Especially if you look at how she voted on the state level.
Yeah.
It's amazing. When you look at these people voting records and then you send them to a higher office. They didn't do anything in the position in which they were in.
Yeah.
And then you just go ahead on and pass them on,
Just because they had an R beside their name.
That's it.
So,
That's it.
but that's the way it is. That's the names of politics, and so we'll have to live with it live with her for the next 2 years until we can get rid of her too. Also, in my opinion. So
And
yeah,
also, James, I'm hoping that with this new year that we can get some of the department heads in the city of Portsmouth to come on and share with the citizens information as to what's taking place in their departments. I know that Miss Woodard, and not Woodard, Behavior Health has agreed to come on. So we will look at getting some of those department heads to come on just to share information as to what is going on in their department so the citizens can know what to plan for and what to expect from the various department heads in the city of Portsmouth.
well, you know what, you said a mouthful there. You know who I'd like to see come on? Then I don't think it would come on. I'd like to see the chief executive come on, the city manager. And so I put the invitation out and collectively that we'd like to see you hit the alarm clock one day to come on in, and we'll give you 1 or 2 shows or how many shows you'd like to see to talk about how you got there and what you're going to do for the city or what you're not going to do for the city. And I put on the both sides and see because you have a record now of a few months, and so we could talk about the record. So how's that affected what you've done in the past is going to affect the future. And so city manager, come on in.
Yeah, we'll extend a formal invitation for her to come on. Yeah, we'll do that and see if she accepts. I think it's important because we've had the previous city manager on, and I think once you get them on and get them talking and comfortable to answer the hard questions or just give them an opportunity to explain their administration, I think it'll help with the other department heads, because sometimes city managers can restrict those department heads from coming on because
yes,
they don't
can.
want them to expose, not expose, but
To
we're
share.
just bringing them on to share information about
Mhm.
what their department does and how to get in touch with them if you need them. Because a lot of people, citizens, are clueless about all the different help that's out there about behavioral health and social
Yeah, but
services.
Nathan at
And
Behavior Health,
yeah,
lot of great things they're doing in the community that the community needs to know about.
I bet a lot of people don't even know that they can go there to get services.
Exactly, and the types of services that are being offered at
Yeah,
Behavior Health.
for substance abuse and all those kind of things like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, you need to hear from the chief executive because one, if you're looking at inclusion, also looking at just opening up government and what government can do for you and to you, we need to hear from you, Miss City Manager, and from that end because you're running the city, and so I'd like to see you come on and not as an adversary, but I'm a advocate for good government, and so I'd like to have you talk about good government and in full disclosure.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
yes,
And we can't go forth without making sure that we thank all of the wonderful individuals who follow us on Facebook Live on a regular basis, who come on every time we are on, and we thank them most of all for their support. I know Patsy Kevin Hines has been and Eric Perriman have been like on point, always there, and we got people coming from other places. Like we got Dennis White up there in Detroit, who recently he's come on and he's on a regular basis. And we're just thankful for all. of those who come on the Facebook Live and support us in this endeavor of sharing information with the community. Thanks to each of you. And I never should have called names because you don't want to leave anybody out who has been a regular on Facebook Live watching Portsmouth Coffee Talk.
Yeah, just know we appreciate you. And
Yes, we
one of the
do.
things we talk about too is about we are not journalists, trained journalists, went to school for journalism, but we do appreciate our amateur status. I think we do pretty well. And saying that, we've had people like Avita Ewell on, who's an ultimate professional in TV journalism, and Cheryl Wilkinson,
Uh-huh.
the radio professional. And that was kind of enlightening to have those two, and then having the some members of the Hampton Roads Black Media
Black
Professionals
Media
on,
Forum, yeah.
and to have these professionals on to talk about their industry, and then to give us kudos for what we do here at our amateur status, and you never hear us trying to be more than what we are. And I've seen some other people do that, but we give credit to the people who have gone through the process of being journalists and professional journalists,
Right,
and
right.
paid the dues and paved the way for other young journalists coming up, which is something that most professions should do. But we have the opportunity to be here and have those people on and share information, and we appreciate that. We appreciate the opportunity, and we appreciate the people that follow us and the guests that come on. We have very few guests that I can't think of any guests who have refused to come on. Or
Right.
once we asked, we might have had to juggle some things as far as scheduling to get them on. But everybody we've asked has, graced us with their presence, and also
Almost
gave some great information.
Colonel says
What'd you say?
almost. Colonel said almost.
Well, I'm not talking about the politicians. I'm talking about the the professionals that we asked to come on.
Okay, yes.
Just about every one of them
Make that clear.
came on. When it came down to politics, we got some people that ran away from us, but that's that was their loss.
Yes.
Not having the opportunity. If you can't come on here and handle tough questions, or realize that it's an opportunity for you to express yourself, in a way that you don't have the opportunity to do that, that's your loss.
Yes.
So this is a local show. This is not what's the Sunday morning shows that come on, those Sunday morning news shows. But anyway, this is not that.
Meet the press,
meet the press and all that.
Yes.
This is your local people that need to hear from you.
And and James, and as a result of us bringing local people on, we've had James Cullen and James and Kathleen Cullen, and let me tell you, they are doing an amazing job of promoting the city of Portsmouth, and we need more of those individuals who are down there really, really promoting the good things that are going on in the city of Portsmouth, and because we have to show that light that exists in the city. There is light in the city. There's darkness, yes. And the darkness sometimes override the light that's taking place in the city. And there's some great things going on in the city. And I'm just happy that we can be a part of the positive force to highlight some of the wonderful things that are going on in the city of Portsmouth. And maybe if we can continue highlighting those great things going on in the city of Portsmouth, then that will cast out the darkness that exists in the city. And we have some areas that need to be addressed. We just had more killings the past couple of days, and those things are things that of course we don't have any control over. But we just need to share some of the good things that's going on in the city.
As we get closer to the end of the show, because it's 27 after, I'll open up and saying I'd like to thank all the folks that we named, that we name checked, that came on in last year, but also to thank those who haven't been named, because we've had 100+ folks that come on.
Yes.
And, there is no way to to name everybody other than going through a list and name checking everybody coming through. And then
Colonel, we need to have that thing they have on TV where it scrolls down, has
scroll down.
everybody's name who's come on.
Yeah, so I like to thank those unnamed, not there's no problem that there's no I guess
Not minimizing their importance.
yes.
We're
but
not
we-
minimizing.
Yes, but we just talked about some of those names and unknown names that we've talked about over the years, and I'd like to thank those folks that we did not name for what they did for us and did for society and did for the city of Portsmouth by coming on and talking about their issues and their lives.
Exactly.
I just wanted to thank those. And so if you didn't get named, I'm naming you because you're out there. Yes.
And a part of that could be the technology that we need going forth, and talk to a few people about that kind of technology. And that's why we ask for your support financially, because some things that we can do on the cheap, or some things that I've gotten around here that is going to help us when we go remote have been out of my pocket. But some things that we probably need to have, some things like the Colonel said, that would show, have a
Exactly.
scroll or things like that. That's possible. And I
Mhm.
see it on other video, other shows,
Mhm.
that we can do some things that will enhance what we do here. So please support us there financially. And I want to bring up, Leah, you said we need to highlight the good things, but the dark things, as you talked about all the murders, and it's alarming how young these people were, the
Yes,
last few
yes,
murders, 17,
yes.
16. Somebody was 15 that they're looking for,
Exactly.
that murdered somebody. And we have to look at these things going forward into this new year. Take an approach that is going to take a collective effort. The families at home,
Mhm.
mental health professionals, and things like that. You can't just look at it like they tried to look at it last thing, as a political thing. So let me get rid of this person because they
Yes,
haven't done anything about crime. Like that
exactly.
city manager could have gone out there. All right, y'all, stop all this. But
Please.
they use that as, this is the way we can solve the crime. We will replace the city manager, and crime
Mhm.
went up. We had more crime this year
Mhm.
at the end of the year than we had last year. And that, when I checked that, that was before the last few days of murders.
Exactly.
So we have to look at this and take the approach a little differently than we. You can't politicize that thing and sit up there and say crime is down when it's not.
Exactly.
We have to be real about it and
Mhm.
approach it in a way that, looking at it long term. Like, you're not going to solve this thing in 6 months and get rid of somebody because crime hasn't gone down. You have to look at it long term. It's going to take
Mhm.
efforts. It's going to take people, families, doing a better job in some cases of raising their kids. Like a long time ago, we talked about at 11 o'clock on the news every night. They used to ask, it's 11 o'clock. Do you know where your kids are?
Exactly.
And it made parents aware. Oh shit, where is Johnny?
Mhm.
And they made sure we were in the house. And that was then, that worked then. That might not work now, but it's going to take some things like that starts in the family home, along with policing. Because and you look at the police, you file police chiefs, bring in new ones, but police, historically, they react to crime.
Mhm.
They're not a preventative department. Well,
Exactly.
they can be as far as writing, but you look all through the nation where the police are down. Police are leaving that profession, because it's so crazy. So it's just, we just have to look at it differently, along with us sharing the good things, but we
Mhm.
also have to be aware of what's really happening out there on the
Exactly.
streets. A lot of
Mhm.
people it doesn't affect, but if you live in neighborhoods like I do right now, you hear the shots, you hear the bullets, and then the next day you see where someone has been killed,
Mm.
and they're getting so young. That's what disturbs me. But
But
anyway, as we go into the new year, we have to have a positive outlook about all that, all those things. But make sure we be aware of what's really going on out there.
Mhm.
mhm.
And did we start this off by saying Happy New Year? Happy
Happy New.
2023 to each of you out there. We appreciate each of you so very much. And we just look forward to a very productive 2023. Uh, with my Colonel and my Slim, my
Mhm.
Colonel and my Slim. We look for great things to take place here with Portsmouth Coffee Talk for 2023. And again, we say Happy New Year to each of you, and thank you for joining us again.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Dennis White, we welcome you back to the community. Dennis is moving back to the community from
Oh,
Detroit
it is.
in the spring of 2023. So Dennis, we look forward to you coming back because he's someone we need to get on. He has served in
Yeah, I was
quite a
gonna
few
say, we really
positions
need you,
in the law
Dennis, to come
enforcement
on,
field.
and the years you have served in law enforcement, and the different capacities that you have
Yes,
served. I think we would love to have you on and talk about what you can talk
exactly.
about your experiences and working here in the city of Portsmouth and in Detroit, and the different jobs you had in Detroit was kind of like you might see on some of those movies,
Exactly.
but it's real life for him, being
Mhm.
out there in the streets of Detroit, and as
Yes.
well as, and bring your trombone and play us a song.
And
We know you're
sing. He plays
musically
trombone and he
sing
sings
and
and
play. You're
sings as well.
musically gifted,
Yes,
Dennis.
he is.
Yes.
Yes, he is.
But anyway, as we wind down, and we want to thank everybody for being along with us for the ride, like the Colonel said, all year round. And stay tuned to us as we go forward and have more intriguing and informative shows and guests. And even if it's just us, aren't we intriguing? Aren't we entertaining? But we have to bring on guests that have the knowledge of the subjects that we
Yes.
tackle here on Portsmouth Coffee Talk.
Mhm.
And know that we appreciate you every Monday morning and Thursday evening that you come on.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, well, I would
Well,
say
King, happy 2023 to you. Each of
2023.
you.
Let's get that. I always ask this question: how long do you say Happy New Year? How long does that last?
Good
As long as
question,
you
Jay.
wanna say it.
As long as
To
you want
win,
to say it.
to win, Colonel.
I know
All year long if you want to, right,
if you
Colonel?
want to. It's a new year to somebody. It's
It's a
New
new
Year
year,
all year
new
long. But I
beginnings.
know it was a thing one time. You say, well, you can say it up until the 15th or something like that.
Mm-hmm. It'll die down starting next week. You won't hear it as much
Yeah.
after next week.
Okay.
So
Don't forget the casino is opening on the 15th, and
15th, what
we'll
at
be
3
there.
o'clock, right? 15th at 3 p.m.
Yeah, that's a Sunday.
Yes.
So save up your money, spend a little money in there,
And if you have a problem gambling, do not go to the casino, okay? It's not a good place to be if you have a problem. You need to identify the fact that you have a problem. And let me tell you a lesson that I learned with my job. I used to go to Vegas all the time. And one lesson that a gentleman taught me, and I'm not a gambler, so it doesn't do me well. I do like good food and I like shows, so I would like it for that. But he told me, he says, you go to the casino with the money you're going to spend in your left pocket. Everything you win, put it in your right pocket. When your left pocket is empty, it's time to say good night.
Mhm.
Don't go there and try to put your house up for mortgage because you think you're going to get the big hit. Okay. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Yeah,
So
they'll let you
if
they'll let you win for a while, but it's designed for the house to win, and the house has to win in order to stay
in
in
order to
business.
pay you out. So, but just be responsible. I think it's going to be a good place for food and entertainment and for those who like to gamble, but just gamble responsibly. That's it.
Mhm.
I see Dennis White
Yeah.
said he went to Craddock. I don't know where
Yeah.
that came from all
Where
of a
did that
sudden.
come from?
Yeah,
Where did that come from? Maybe because Benet went to Craddock too,
yeah,
So,
yeah. So well, I'm gonna ride down Washington, George Washington Highway and see if I can find it.
how about that? See if it
Anyway,
still
again,
exists.
thanks everybody, and we appreciate you. And Portsmouth Coffee Talk is here for our voice.
For our community,
In our future, Happy New Year.
Happy New
Happy
Year.
New Year.
Happy 2023 from Portsmouth Coffee Talk.